My name is Catherine Thompson, and this is my commemorative speech. Friends, Englishmen, classmates, lend me your ears. I come to praise Darwin, not to bury him. The man who I am commemorating was a dramatic and controversial figure. He was a giant among men. It would be difficult to overestimate his importance to current scientific thinking. He was well admired by many and equally reviled by others. I would like to honor Charles Darwin's contributions. I'm not a scholar of his life, but I've been interested in him since learning about him in school, and I've read much about him. First, I'll tell you a little bit about his education and his crucial journey on the HMS Beagle. Then I'll talk a little bit about his theories and how their huge impact on the world. Charles Robert Darwin was born February 12, 1809 in Shrewsbury, England. He went to Edinburgh in 1825 to study medicine. He was only there for a short time before his father realized that medicine was not the field of study for his son. He was sent to Cambridge in 1828 to become a clergyman. He got his degree in 1831. During his studies, he found an interest in entomology and befriended many older scientists. He also did some studying in geology. Upon returning from a geology expedition in 1831, he had a letter from a friend urging him to apply for a position as a naturalist on the HMS Beagle. The Beagle was a part of a British science expedition that was to travel all around the world. The voyage started in December of 1831 and lasted until October of 1836. So began his journey toward his crowning achievements in theories of evolution and natural selection. They traveled to such places as South America, Galapagos Islands, throughout the Pacific, Tahiti, Australia, and New Zealand, and many more. He kept journals of his travels and of encounters with animals on the different islands. He collected samples of over 1,000 species, which he preserved and later used for research. He noticed similarities between fossils of South America and modern species. A leap in his ideas came from his studies on the Galapagos Islands. There he found that the different islands supported different but closely related species of finch. It was a puzzle he would later solve when he returned to England and developed his theories. 4 separate but related ideas came out of his research. 1. Evolution does happen. 2. The evolutionary change is gradual, taking thousands to millions of years. 3. Main component of evolution was a process known as natural selection. And 4. The millions of species today arose from a single organism through the process of speciation. In 1859, he finally published his work for which he is most well known, On the Origin of Species. In his book, he presents his theory of evolution, which he arduously backed up with his research. The theory of evolution had been around for some time, but was not accepted by many naturalists because of the conflict with religious, social, and scientific beliefs at the time. His book was very controversial, containing the idea that Homo sapiens were just another animal, possibly deriving from apes. It was in complete opposition to the contemporary beliefs of how the world was created. Darwin's theories were radically different from others at the time. In a world where God created each species, he had a different explanation. The basis of his beliefs were something he called natural selection, where species gradually changed. A part of natural selection was something called survival of the fittest. That meant that organisms with the best and most useful qualities would most likely to survive and reproduce. The good qualities would be passed on to their offspring. His ideas also meant that humans shared common ancestors with animals. In other words, we were not miraculously created by God, we just were animals that evolved to this current state of being. His ideas were so extreme and controversial that they shook the very foundation of the Church's power. His theories are still controversial today. The concept of evolution was not an entirely new thing. It was being discussed by scientists at the time. Darwin pieced together ideas and came up with a mechanism of how evolution worked, which he called natural selection. He built on other people's ideas, just as others have since built on his ideas. His genius was in coming up with a simple and logical explanation for how evolution worked. It required no miracles or divine intervention. His theory also explained a paradox of creationism. Why would God give humans a vestigial organ, such as the appendix? Darwin's theory explained that the organ was used in the past, but is no longer needed. He changed the way we thought about our place in the universe. Instead of being a creation of God, we merely arose from beasts. His ideas upset many people at the time in the church because it challenged their way of thinking. But I don't believe having a better understanding of the world is a bad thing. He dramatically changed the world of science forever, and he will always be remembered for his contributions. In conclusion, Darwin was as sharp as a tack. He very brilliantly came up with the idea of evolution. His name is synonymous with ideas of evolution and natural selection. Many people may not agree with his ideas because they are contrary to their religious beliefs. It takes a bold, confident, strong, and unique person to break the common beliefs and go out on a limb such as he did. Not everyone agreed with him, and you can't ask for that. But he didn't let that stop him. He got his ideas out there, and they changed the world. The end.
Yes. I think I like this one better.